Hey guys, if you're enjoying the content I've been putting up, be sure to subscribe so you always know when a new video pops up. Now that we got that part out of the way, let's get into the video. Final Fantasy XIV is a massive game with thousands of hours of content. What I'm going to do here is break down some of the major plot points for those of you who want to know more about Eorzea, but may not have time to experience it all firsthand. This time we're covering the second part of the Dancer storyline. When we last left off, Nashmira had explained the dangers of the Totentanz dance and the true mission of the dancers. Now the time has come for you to head to your third destination, Ishgard. Fortunately, there have been no signs of the dance taking hold in the area, yet. However, the poor people of the city have been getting rowdy, just like in Ul'dah, so there's no telling how long it'll be before the dance does start infecting people. Nashmira wants you and Rana to be careful, especially since she's sending you ahead on your own. Her injuries aren't healing as fast as she'd hoped, so she needs a bit of rest before she follows you. Rana's eager to get going, until you arrive and she realizes that Ishgard's weather isn't really suited for barely dressed catgirl dancers. My dancer glamour isn't much better, but the Warrior of Light is more than used to the cold by now. Your first order of business in the city is to meet up with your host at the congregation, and since Rana doesn't know the city at all, she decides that she'll follow you before promptly walking on ahead. I know it's the game's normal way of showing the NPC moving the quest forward, but you can't say that you're going to follow someone then lead first. It's a good way to get lost. The Knight Handaloop is there to greet you, and he's quite surprised to see that you've joined a dancing troupe since the last time you were there you were going toe-to-toe with Nidhogg while wielding a dragon's eye, but Rana assures him that you'll be just as impressive when you start to dance. The Twin Adders already sent word ahead about the Dance of the Damned, and while the Ishgardians found it hard to believe, seeing you taking the threat seriously is all they needed to do the same. They've already followed Nashmira's instructions and gathered the commoners and put them at the front row of your performance, although they have no idea why they had to do that. Rana explains how the Totentanz hits people who have the strongest negative emotions first, and people with money and power tend to be a lot happier than those who have to struggle. So if you can draw the negative ether from the influential commoners before the dance takes full effect, then you may be able to make a domino effect that stops it from spreading further. It's a good theory, one that's worth trying at least. Your performance is set to take place outside of the Gates of Judgment, just in case something goes wrong, and a large number of people have gathered to see you in action. Rana starts to dance, and as the people watch, dark monsters form in the air above them. They start to panic. Who wouldn't when something like that happens? But Rana convinces them that it's all a part of the show while you step forward and do your part by taking the creatures down. The audience admits that they had been skeptical at first, but after seeing the performance, they can't deny how good it was. And it made them feel more at peace than they had been before, and they can't even explain why. Seeing the smiling faces means the world to Rana. Being able to make an audience happy is extremely important to any performer, and the fact that you beat the shadows before the Totentanz could take over makes all the training you've been doing more than worthwhile. But since it's all over, Rana is super eager to get out of the cold and back to Gridania where the weather is more dancer friendly. Back in Gridania, Rana freaks out when she realizes Nashmira is gone, but one of the other members of the troupe calms her down by letting her know that their leader is fine. She left to meet up with her friend. Her friend is also familiar with the Totentanz, and she's been studying the situation in Alamigo for the troupe. Nashmira is scouting out an area for the performance there, and she wants you to keep practicing until she calls you. Rana's shocked that her teacher trusts her enough to not even have to wait to see how things went in Ishgard before heading off on another mission, especially after how badly she messed up in Ul'dah, but she intends to do her best to not let her teacher down again. Since Alamigo's people have suffered even more tragedy than the people of Ishgard in recent years, the negative ether you may draw out of them with your performance could end up being incredibly powerful, so Rana plans on increasing her training until Nashmira gives her a call. It doesn't take long for a Moogle to send a letter telling you where Nashmira wants the troupe to go. You will all be heading to Alagana. With the town being so close to the border, the fear the people have of the Garleans returning is more than strong enough to draw the Totentanz, but Nashmira told Rana that she's gotten all of the most important people in Alagana to attend, so if all goes well, the troupe can keep the dance from taking over just like you did in Ishgard. She also said that the fate of the troupe is in you and Rana's hands, so don't screw up. Out in Alagana, the crowd gathers around, excited to see your performance. After the introductions, Rana begins to dance, and like in Ishgard, her moves draw out the negative emotions in the people. But Ala Mhigans have had years to cultivate their fears, and the being that Rana draws forth is far more powerful than what you faced in the other cities. The people are terrified at the sight, but after assuring them that it's all part of the show, the two of you do battle with the monster while the troupe plays a merry tune in the background. The etheric shadow is so powerful that the two of you alone aren't enough to bring it down. Fortunately, Nashmira shows up to lend a hand, finally fully recovered from her injuries and ready to show you all the full extent of a dancer's power. Combining your talents, the three of you destroy the shadow before it could run amok. With the performance over and the Totentans fended off, Rana fangirls about the fact that she got to perform with Nashmira, who admits that after her embarrassing display in Gridania where she got beat by a sprite, she doubled her training so she could get back in shape. She does say that as good as the two of you have become, she could have sat back and let you handle things, which is just flattery because we were definitely about to die before she jumped in, a fact that her friend points out when she shows up. Turns out Nashmira's contact in Eorzea was Falaman, Minfilia's adopted mother. Since she was a performer a long time ago, it does kinda make sense. When she'd heard that you had joined the troupe, she hadn't expected it, but apparently no one expected to see you stop doing fetch quests to twirl around in tiny outfits. Apparently after the incident in Ul'dah where Falaman had inadvertently caused Minfilia's father to get killed, she had hid in Thavnir for a while. That was where she met Nashmira. Since she was a singer and Nashmira was a dancer, they worked well together. So when she was asked to help plan the troupe's tour of Eorzea, she was more than happy to do it. Your conversation is cut short as an Ala Mhigan who you helped when you first began working with Lys to free the nation from Garlemald comes up to congratulate you on your performance. He's confused by your transition from adventurer to dancer too, but since no one really understands that the dancers are just adventurers who twirl, I understand their confusion. Still, he's happy he got to see the foreign performers, and the peace the troupe brought to the people will be more than helpful with all the work they have left to do. With the threat of the Totentans over and done with, the tour is now complete, and with that, it is time for the troupe to go back home. Or at least it should be, but Nashmira decides that staying in Eorzea may be beneficial since there's no telling when the dance will strike again. Rana's excited that she'll get to dance with you some more, but that'll have to wait. You are still an adventurer after all, and you still have plenty of things to do, like helping your friends get back from the first. This concludes the second part of the Dancer storyline. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on the next part of the story.